Hey everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the October 27th edition of Horses to Watch, where we carefully analyze some trips from the past week, looking for horses that might have encountered adversity and could be worth betting back when they run back in the future. This week, we're taking a look back at last week at Belmont, and we've got three races to talk about from three different days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, though all of these races are run at the same distance on the same surface, that is 7 furlongs on the Widener turf course. And I'm sorry to say all three of these horses that I'm highlighting are ridden by the same rider. I don't think this has ever happened before, but unfortunately, I'm going to be beating up on Jose Lezcano in this video. I'll say at the top, I'm a big fan of Jose Lezcano's riding. I think he's an excellent turf rider. He just made some bad decisions this past week, and we're going to talk through of them in these 7 furlong races. Let's begin with a race from last Friday's card at Belmont, October 22nd. This is race 9, actually the feature race of the day. The Carl Place going 7 furlongs for the 3-year-olds on the turf. Let's break these runners from the gate. We're going to focus on the number 11, Kawamiya River, who's breaking second from the right of your screen. He's in that light blue and green with the light blue cap. He's a little bit hard to see on the outside of horses, but you could see he broke about a length slowly and is restrained off the pace at this point. And there he is in about 7th place on the outside in those light blue and green silks. We'll highlight him in just a second, that number 11 horse. And now the problem for Kawamiya River is that the pace of this race is not fast at all. It's actually on the slow side. The number 10 Rustler, who is 21-1 and leading the field, is actually going to go gate to wire. He's never going to get past. And you see Kawamiya River towards the back of the pack there. Not only did his rider not show much aggression to get him back into position after that slow start, but he was trying really hard to get this horse, I guess, to relax off the pace. And you saw he kind of steadied a bit at the half-mile pole, and he just continues to lose position on a horse that, based on his prior form, I thought would want to be forwardly placed in this race, because Kawamiya River was coming out of shorter races and had shown good tactical speed in those races. By the time they get to the top of the stretch here, he's all the way back sharing last place, and he has to go widest of all at the top of the stretch to commence his move. Like I said, this was not a race that was really favoring horses coming from off the pace, nor was it favoring horses that were making runs out wide. The leader, the number 10 Rustler, wins this race on the rail. The second place finisher, the number 3 Smoke and Jay, also rides the rail almost the entire way until the stretch. And you see Kawamiya River actually finishes up really gamely on the outside to get up for 4th in this race, but I just don't understand why, even after the slow break, Jose Lezcano made no attempt to get this horse back into a forward position after that, despite the fact that they were going slowly on the front end. And he just ended up losing all that position, going wide on the turn, just not the right recipe for a winning result. And he finished 4th in this race, but I think he was probably the best horse, and will do better if he finds himself in a similar spot next time out. So on to a race from Saturday's card at Belmont Park, October 23rd. This is race 2, an open company allowance nominators of one other than going same distance, 7 furlongs on the Widener turf course. Let's break these runners from the gate. We're going to focus on the plain number 1, Scuttlebus, who is part of an entry in this race. He's the gray horse in those yellow silks that you see highlighted right here. And he does break about a length slowly and gets steadied right after the start. That's not good for this horse, because he does have the versatility to be forward. He showed that in his last start when he actually was surprisingly close to the pace, getting the job done and winning that race. But you see he's towards the back of the pack here, and the problem with him being so far back is they are going very slowly up front. And I guess Jose Lezcano is trying to get him to settle towards the back of the pack, but he's trying to get him to settle way off a slow pace. That's not where you want to be. This horse is getting really rank underneath, and you see him fighting the restraint. He's kind of throwing his head around awkwardly around the back stretch, moving into the far turn here. And even right here, passing the half-mile pole, he wants to do more running than he's being allowed to do, because that early pace is so slow, but he's not allowed to do any running until the entire field starts sprinting. And you see finally right here at about the 5/16 pole, he starts to move up outside, but that's the time that everybody else is already commencing their moves. So kind of like in the prior race, he's losing ground coming around horses, and now by the time they get to the quarter pole, the entire field is going to sprint to the wire. And this is not a race where horses are making up much ground from the back of the pack. Actually, the eventual winner, once again, the number 7 Turn of Events, he was the leader early, and he's going to go gate to wire in this spot. And a horse like the number 1 Scuttlebus just has no chance to make up that ground from the back of the pack when they go so slowly up front. And also, when he fought his rider for the beginning of the race, It doesn't make sense to me, even when riders break slowly, why they make such effort to hold on to that disadvantageous position that they were dealt at the start of the race. Why wouldn't you try to make some attempt to move forward, get back into a more forward position at the time in the race when the other riders are going the slowest? You don't want to try to make up ground into the portion of the race when they're sprinting, going the fastest. And this was a race where he tried to make up ground into the fastest part of the race at the end. That was just never going to be a successful strategy with Scuttle Buzz. This is a horse for Rudy Rodriguez, who had previously been in great form, had run well in all of his turf starts since getting claimed by Rudy earlier in the year. And I think Scuttlebuzz is a lot better than the performance he put forth here. And if he gets back in a 6 furlong race at this level at Aqueduct, I think we'll see a much better performance from Scuttlebuzz next time out. Let's finish things up with a race from Sunday's card at Belmont. It is race 3 from October 24th. Maiden special weight, going that same 7 furlong distance on the Widener course. This one for the 2-year-olds. Let's break these runners from the gate. We're again going to focus on the number 1 horse, Dr. Brown's Miracle. This one actually breaking from the rail. And you'll see he breaks about a length slowly, hops slightly at the start, veers in a little bit. So that puts him a little bit out of position coming into the 1st furlong of this race. But as they progress down the backstretch, you're going to notice his rider, Jose Lescano, this time he's trying to regain some of that lost position, moving forward into a stalking position on the backstretch. The problem is, and really through no fault of his own, he's just doing so into a much faster pace this time. The leaders are going a little bit too quickly on the front end. You'll notice towards the end of this race, this is one where the pace is going to completely fall apart. And the eventual winner actually is the number 4, which is shown all the way towards the back of the pack right now. Moving into the far turn, you see the number 1, Dr. Brown's Miracle. He was asked a little bit to get back into the race, and right here, he starts to get a little bit too rank under Jose. He's trying to go forward, but there are horses in front of him, and this is right about the time that the leaders are coming back a little bit, and the field starts to bunch up together, and Jose Lescano is going to make the wrong decision right about here. Overcommitting to the inside. He really wanted to get outside of these fading horses in front of him, but he's going to try to go inside of this fading long shot in front of him. You can see that this number 1, Dr. Brown's Miracle, just wants no part of trying to squeeze through inside of that tired number 2 horse. And quickly he has to bail on that plan, go outside, try to regain some of that lost momentum in mid-stretch. He's not quite able to do it. He does finish up decently enough to be 3rd, considering that he was pretty close to that honest pace in the early going. But I think that decision early on and that decision at the top of the stretch really cost him the chance to earn a better position in this race. Dr. Brown's Miracle is a horse that took a lot of money in this race, bet down to 5-2 off just an even 5th place finish in his debut. So he was well meant in this race, but I just think that given the ride and the trip that he got, he wasn't able to show the kind of move forward that I think his connections would have expected from him in the 2nd career start. So one that I would imagine will do better when he shows up next time out, perhaps going 6 furlongs or maybe even stretching out to go a mile or a mile and 16th around 2 turns when racing moves to Aqueduct in the coming month. So that's a look at all of the horses to watch for this week. Remember, if you want to follow these horses in the future, you can add them to your horse watch on DRF.com, and you'll get email notifications when these horses run back in the future. Thanks for tuning in this week, and make sure to catch future episodes of Horses to Watch on upcoming Wednesdays.